Hello everybody, this is Jeff and Barb from the Rise Recovery Center in Herkimer, a program of Catholic Charities. We're trying something a little new. What we're going to try to do is, in lieu of the get together and celebrating Thanksgiving like we do with our members and our friends and stuff, what we're going to do is, because of COVID obviously, we're going to have to come up with some different ideas to reach out and sort of celebrate the holiday with you. And basically what we're going to do is do maybe a 3 to 4 part series on how to maybe just cook some Thanksgiving things. And I know it sounds kind of easy, some of this stuff, and it very well may be, but I might have a few tips or little things that I do a little different, and it's just a way to reach out and to, get in a little bit of a contact with you guys. This is there's no scripts, there's no nothing, we may mess up. This is our first one, so we're going to sort of wing it. Hopefully you'll like it. So, Barbara, anything to say before we start?
Well, I see that you have potatoes out. Did you know there's over 1,000 different potatoes varieties?
I'm shocked.
And it started in Bolivia.
All right, now let me ask you something. Did
Okay.
you know that before yesterday?
No, I did not.
Okay,
I did not. I did research.
All right, that's
I
what-
research people.
that's what I thought.
And do you know that if you dream of harvesting potatoes, it's a good sign? It could indicate someone helping you achieve your goal. That's what we're about here, helping people achieve their goals.
A couple of things that people may not know. Mashed potatoes, they have different gluten content in mashed potatoes, or different kind of potatoes. And there's certain ones to use for certain things not to use. So if you have a problem with your potatoes and your mashed potatoes going really starchy and getting all thick and gummy, there's a couple of reasons why that I'll probably go through here. My basic mashed potato things, and my family, my wife says that I make pretty good potatoes, and I throw a couple things in there and do a couple things a little different than most people, but you can do it whatever way you want. If you like bacon in your mashed potatoes, throw bacon in it. If you like green peppers, throw green peppers in it, whatever. But this is how we do them here. I don't want to see a lot of comments like, hey, you didn't put in enough this or that. It's how I do it. Do it whatever way you want to do it.
And
Both Barb and I worked in restaurants over the course of our working lifetimes. So we have a little bit of knowledge about restaurants, kitchens, and that sort of thing. Obviously, being COVID, we're wearing our masks. But remember to clean up as you go, things like that, especially when we're going to get to the videos on doing the turkeys, on how to thaw them safely, how to sanitize after. We're going to talk about cooking temps, safety ranges, where bacteria is most prevalent and how it can grow in a certain range of temperature that you want to take care of. But that'll be a little bit closer to Thanksgiving. When we talk about potatoes, and like I said, actually starch, gluten is good for potatoes, but it's how you treat the potatoes leading into it, and there's some that are better than others.
have to be gentle with the potatoes.
Yes, that's one, but there's 3 or 4 more. Actually, low starch potatoes such as Red Bliss, fingerlings, those kind of potatoes, probably not great. And the reason why is when you cook them, the gluten doesn't break down and it can't absorb any dairy. So milk, butter, things like that can't be absorbed as good as other potatoes like russets and Yukon Golds. Those are probably the best for light, fluffy potatoes. A couple other things to keep in mind to keep your potatoes from going really starchy and gluteny is, and this is debatable, but when you get your water ready, salt it. Potatoes absorb salt. So, little tip, if you make a soup or something liquid with too much salt in it, throw in a couple potatoes because it will absorb the salt back out of that. So it's good to know if you oversalt something. So some people say bring the water to a boil first. Some people say put your potatoes in and bring it up to a boil. It really doesn't matter, and the only difference between the two is if you add your potatoes to boiling water, the idea is it's going to cook really fast on the outside and might not get done on the inside, which leaves those little lumps which are just hideous. Some people will put the potatoes in and bring it to a boil. Some people drop it in and just watch it a little closer. You just want to make sure that they're well cooked and not overly cooked. You don't want to leave them sitting in there for too long. You want to drain and get going pretty quick. But salting the water, if you salt the water now, the potatoes will absorb a little bit of it. But remember that when you're seasoning your potatoes later on. Remember, season a little bit, try them, and then adjust it as you go, because if you put in too much, obviously you can't go backwards. Okay. Just a couple things about peeling potatoes. I actually had a friend of mine who said he used a peeler, and I said, "Wow, you're taking so long with that peeler. Just use a knife and do it real quick. You waste so much that way." So we each took 5 pounds of potatoes. He used a peeler and it took him an extra 30 minutes to do it. I used a knife, and he got an extra 2 tablespoons of mashed potatoes out after taking all that time and doing all that aggravation. So just a little thing of mine. So you want to salt your water. It'll absorb a little. Be careful later on when seasoning your potatoes, stuff like that. I'm going to actually use milk. People use sour cream. People use other things. But make sure your milk and your dairy products you're adding are at least room temperature, if not a little warmer. And then, as Barb brought up before, overworking your mashed potatoes is probably the biggest thing that makes them go to gluten. When somebody just keeps pounding and pounding them, they get worse and worse. So we're going to pretend that we've gone through all that. We've salted our water. We've brought it up to boil. As it's going, you just want to make sure that the chunks obviously are uniform in size, things of that nature. Pull one out. Try to find the biggest one and push the fork or push the knife through it. It should go through nice and easy, no hesitation. Try 2 or 3 different ones. This looks pretty good. The water's still hot. You don't want to leave it sitting for a long time, but you want to make sure that they're done. If you have any doubt, give it another minute or so. Okay? So we're going to drain these, and then we're going to throw them together. A little awkward here, but this is where I kind of work quickly, and I do things in a different, maybe a different way than most people do them. Okay, so I got them drained. I let some water stay in them, but not much. I usually wait until it starts to drip and not steady streams. Okay, while those are continuing draining, I take my butter and throw it on the bottom of the pan. Number one, the pan's hot. I don't rinse the pan or anything. Number one, the pan's hot. It's going to start to melt that butter. Throw the potatoes on top. Now that butter is under siege. It's melting, okay? So, some of the things we have here, that the way that I do them is black pepper. Remember, it's all to taste, so about 5 pounds of potatoes, and I use about a tablespoon of black pepper, but I like them kind of peppery. So we throw in black pepper. This is actually garlic salt. Remember to be careful with the salt if you salt the water, okay? And you should try it as you go along to make sure that you're not over spicing these things up. So I'm just going to put in a little for now, garlic salt. This is actually, and this is all to personal taste. One time I had a few of those, what do you call those little noodle things?
Ramens.
Okay, and there were some chicken ones in there. So I thought that would be kind of good, and I know some people put like chicken.
I use chicken bouillon.
Chicken bouillon, chicken broth, things like that.
While I'm cooking them instead of salt, and it infuses the flavor.
Well, there you go. See what I'm saying? So I thought it would be kind of good, and it actually came out really good. Just be careful, because again, those are real salty, but that's exactly what this is. It's just a couple of those little packets of the chicken flavoring in ramen.
Ramen noodles.
Ramen noodles. So I'm going to throw some of that in there. The next thing is milk. Remember, you want to warm your milk up. Now remember, at the bottom, that butter's still all melting away. Instead of putting it on the top, and you may have some that's melted, some not. Put in, go slowly. So you're going to put in about half of a cup. That's good. Okay, and then you're going to adjust that, add more. That's why you want to put it in slow. Just don't put the whole thing in there. And it's all comes down to taste, how thick you like them, how light and fluffy, whatever the case may be. Now, if we cook these right, it should mash up pretty easy. Barb brought up before, overworking potatoes can make a mess. So we're just going to do a little, taste them, adjust them, things like that, but we're going to mash them as little as possible. So, Barb, if you want to go ahead and mash.
The monster mash of potatoes. Yeah. I like to stir it around with the masher too to get everything incorporated into the mashed potatoes so the flavoring is even throughout.
Remember to keep pulling it off the sides, things like that. Pull that butter off the bottom. As you can see there, if you like your potatoes lumpy, they're already there, and she's probably done, what, 20 mashes. I don't know what the official term
Give it a
is.
little twist. Make sure you clean off the masher so you can continue to work and really get into the bottom and really get those seasonings stirred in.
Okay, now at this point, and I waited till now for a certain reason. In our family, we like sort of a gratin potato, if I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just shredded Parmesan cheese. You can use Romano, you can use Parm, whatever you like. So, but the reason I waited for this to cool down a little bit is because if you threw that in when it was still really warm, it's going to just melt and become little chunks in there, and it's going to bind kind of strange to the gluten and the starch in there. So that's why I waited for a mash real quick on it, and then we're going to throw in a little bit of that. And again, you don't have to. This is just something that we do. So hit that.
I do like to add things to my mashed potatoes. I like the garlicky flavor, a little cheddar cheese once in a while, just to dress it up.
All right, let's see what we got. All right, so like I said, that I think that's how we like them. If you like them a little fluffier, you would add a little less milk. If you like them a little denser, you would add a little more milk, but just adjust it. But now's the time where you would probably taste it and see what they're like. And remember, go slow with the spices and stuff at first, and then put it in. If you overspice, you can't pull that back out. So basically, that's it. So now what you would do is just put them in some sort of plastic container if you're not going to eat them now, if you're getting these things ready for Thanksgiving, and try to cool them pretty quickly. So the reason being is they're going to spend a lot of time in the optimal temperature zone for bacterial growth. Don't leave them on your stove for a half hour. Don't, just put them in something real thick. Put it in your refrigerator in one big, try to put it out as thin as possible. It'll cool quicker. The faster you can get it out of that danger zone, the better off you're going to be.
And like you were saying before, Jeff, that cook ahead takes a little of the stress off the holiday.
That's what I was sort of thinking, that these things are done kind of, these are sort of basic recipes we're doing, things you can do leading up to Thanksgiving. A lot of people are going to be spending Thanksgiving maybe not traveling as much, maybe not with your family. And that's sort of why we did this series, just to reach out a little bit. While we're talking about that, we're going to do 4, maybe 5 in this series. Mashed potato being the first. Then we're going to do stuffing next week. Then we're going to do a twist on an apple pie.
That is my favorite. I can't wait. I'm going to taste test that one. That's my job.
That was kind of interesting. That it's actually called apple pie bars, but I do a couple little different things with that one too, and people seem to really like it. Then the last one is going to be the biggest of the videos, and that's going to be how to safely cook, thaw, prepare a turkey. It's very basic and easy, but it's a very good recipe. Okay? And then the last one we're thinking about doing is what to do with some of those leftovers. Okay, some different recipes for leftovers, and this wouldn't be Thanksgiving if you didn't have a whole bunch of leftovers. You know what I mean?
My husband likes to make the Dagwood sandwich.
What's that? There's a thing, Friends. Remember, they put the moist maker. They would put a piece of bread in the thing and all that stuff. But anyways, so basically at this point, you would just either eat them, store what's left, get them cooled down, and they'll keep, depending on how fast you get them cooled down, how your refrigerator's doing, 3, maybe 4 days top. Just remember, if you pull some out to heat up, take some out, put it right back in the refrigerator quick. You can tell that I'm ServSafe certified because those little things like that are important to me. Even though I've never heard of anybody dying from mashed potato poisoning, like food, but you never know.
You never know.
Okay.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
So that's about it for this first video of ours, unless Barb's got something else to say.
Well, I do have a quote over here.
I've never known her not to have something else to say, so...
This is a quote. "The man who has nothing to boast of but his ancestors is like a potato. The only good belonging to him is underground." And that's by Sir Thomas Overbury, 1581 to 1613. That's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, but how poignant is that? So, I'm impressed. You got that from like a potato site?
I did. I Googled.
All things potatoes, something like that.
I Googled. All
Okay.
things potatoes. Thank
So, you know, hopefully you like this. Like I said, we'll be posting another one within a week or so. The next one coming up is stuffing. If you have any suggestions for us or something you might want to see down the road, let us know. And otherwise, that's it.